Hello and welcome. We're going to have lots of networking time today, by the way, because that is half of this whole reason to get together. So thank you for joining us for LinkedIn Local Houston. Who has been to LinkedIn Local Houston before? All right, that's a decent percentage, but we have a lot of newbies, so welcome. I appreciate you coming. This is actually our third one, and so please give us feedback on the type of programming you want to hear in the future. We really want to know. So I'm Tracy DeJarnett, and I'm with the LinkedIn Local Houston co-host. And we've got a team back there I'll recognize here in a minute. But I'm with the Brand Soup Agency. We are a marketing firm, and we sponsored the food back there. So make sure you help yourself to some food. We got red and white wine back there. I think there's a couple other things back there. And I want to recognize Judy Rapp, who's been with LinkedIn Local Houston the whole time, helping with every single one of those. We've got Jamie Napoli, who's brand new to the LinkedIn Local Houston, so welcome and thanks for helping. I worked with her, 15 years ago, so it's so great to reconnect with her. And Sam Giuliano, who's been my right-hand person on so many things, and we'll talk more about that. So thank you, Sam, and who am I forgetting? And Rebecca Gittens, who helps me with everything. So Rebecca, thank you. I want to recognize another couple sponsors. So Blue Lance and Renika Digital Marketing sponsored our live streaming. So we're live streaming now to LinkedIn. So Iggy Harrison over here is the man of the hour helping us do it. It's also his birthday. So happy birthday, Iggy. Thanks for coming out and supporting this. So if you want to find the live stream, and there'll be a recording afterwards, it'll be in the comments of the event. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so let's see, what else? So I want to bring up a special person with the Houston Food Bank. So tonight, we always pick a charity, and tonight it's the Houston Food Bank, and what a perfect time of year to support them. And I don't know if you've heard what they've been through, and he'll tell you a little bit about that. So we're so glad to have him. William Taylor here. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for inviting us out. Am I on? Okay. So, anyway, they asked me just to say a few words about the food bank. And, gosh, there's so much to say. The food bank we're the largest food bank in the U.S. in both size and distribution. Last year, we gave out about 120 million meals around Houston and the surrounding 16 counties. And as you guys, many of you are probably aware of, we had a little incident, a little ammonia leak and stuff a couple weeks ago, and it really affected our produce. And at this time of year, it's just, we do this day in, day out, every day. There's a constant need, and there's hunger in our city. There's, I think they've got 1 million people in the greater Houston area who experience some sort of hunger or food insecurity at any point throughout the year. And I was talking to one of my donors today, and we were just visiting, and we're just talking about what it is about the holidays and why it's just much more evident and the forefront of people's minds. And he was like, it's just really hard to think that somebody might go hungry during the holidays. We're all celebrating and having a good time, and for a lot of people, they just don't have that. And thank you to you guys. Thank you to Houston for supporting the food bank during, our small crisis that we had. I mean, we're used to being there for people and being there for the community, and for the community to support us in turn, it meant a lot. We do a lot as far as, feeding, everybody from children. We have our Kids Cafe program that feeds about 8,000 kids every single day, giving them a hot meal after school. We have our Backpack Buddy program that provides food over the weekend to elementary and middle school kids, about 10,000 kids every week that we feed. We have our Senior Box program that provides food for senior citizens. Not to mention, we have about 1,500 community partners as far as like food pantries and community centers that we distribute food to. So, we are everywhere in Houston, and we are not going to stop until we stop hunger in the city. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for supporting the food bank. We really appreciate it.
And as luck would have it, it's Giving Tuesday. That was not planned, but it kind of worked out nicely. So thank you, William. I'm glad you're here. So we're going to not waste any more time and bring up our speakers. So we're talking about talent, leadership, and culture today. We've got two amazing speakers that drove away all the way in from Austin, Texas for us tonight. We're super excited. Jim Bledsoe is coming up first. He's with he's an executive recruiting firm, partner with Cyndia, and he's going to talk a little bit about this. So settle in, make sure you've got food, drinks, all that good stuff. And Jim, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, welcome.
Thank you, Tracy. So we're going to have a little bit of audience.
Do I get points? Do I win something?
Come again?
Do I get points? Do I win something?
Yeah, whatever they're worth. I don't know if you can cash them in for anything or not. So we're going to talk about talent, leadership, and culture. It's what I call TLC. A lot of times TLC people think of as tender loving care, and that's good stuff too. But talent, leadership, and culture is really a three-legged stool on which so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So what do you hope to come away with tonight? And that's the audience participation thing. Tracy was saying that many of you are building your career, building your companies. So whatever you can come away with tonight that are lessons learned, learning from other people's experiences, wisdom, hard luck stories, whatever, successes, whatever that is, if you take it away, it has value for what you can do with it in the future. So talk about another version of TLC, talent, leadership, and culture. So what does a great team look like? Anybody know who this team is right here?
Silicon Valley.
And where have you seen them before? Are they a great team?
They are dysfunctionally functional.
They are very dysfunctional. I mean, there's fraud that goes on, there's illegal activity, there's drugs, there's a whole lot of bad stuff that makes for entertainment for us watching. But how not to run a company, how not to treat coworkers and colleagues. So this was given to me a long time ago before I even got to Houston, but I'll just read the caption for those who can't see it. That's the way this job is, Bledsoe. Interminable periods of boredom followed by brief moments of intense excitement. And that was pretty much my kind of my career for a long time at FedEx, although it was all intense excitement for the 20 years that I was there. So now that I'm a recruiter, who said that recruiting is stressful? I'm 27 and I feel great. And an out-of-the-box thinker there, whatever, is like a contortionist to be able to do what the client needs. But essentially what we do is to match great talent to great opportunity. We are client-focused and client-based, whereby we provide impact leaders to take a company to the next level. And that could be a director level up through the C-suite, whether it's CFO, CMO, CEO, just go through the alphabet there. That's pretty much what we do. But how many of you have majored in math in school? Math majors? All right, we're going to do a little math exercise here. So you got a budget of 4 FTEs, full-time equivalents, all right? So you start with the first one. So, I'm going to start by hiring Matt Gagnon. He's just an absolute bulldog getting stuff done, getting the job done. And then I add Shelly, who is very artistic, very creative from a marketing perspective. And then I need an HR person, so I hired Bob Hanlon, and got a really good team. So I start to relax a little bit and start to think about strategy or other details. And I take my eye off the ball, and so I don't do my homework in doing the due diligence for recruiting this next person. So I hired this guy named Jim Bledsoe, and he's a total minus sign. He's a total loser. So if you go through the math exercise, and then you think that, all right, I got 3 really good people here. I'm at least 75% effective. The reality is, if you do the math, 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, and you minus that other one, or I'm neutralizing somebody else, I'm not at 75%. I'm not at 3/4 strong. I'm actually back at 50%. So I'm paying for 4 people, yet I am only getting the value of 2. So you spent your entire budget on 4 full-time equivalents, but you end up with the effective equivalent value of 2 full-time equivalents. And I don't think, for any of those who, whether you're a math major or you're a finance major, it's not a good ROI. So my career influence, I just want to talk about that a little bit. I was 20 years at FedEx, and Fred Smith was saying that when I'm looking for talent, especially executive talent, I'm not looking for the best quarterback, I'm looking for the best athlete. And that's what I felt like I tried to be during my career there, and I think I was. Others might have made the Hall of Fame, I might have made an all-star team or 2, but the reality is that when you can play different positions on the field and you have greater value, then you're a better asset to the organization. But the other one, when I went into home building for years later, I worked for Pulte Homes. And Bill Pulte was like the poster child for find a job you love and you'll never work another day in your life. Why? Because his passion was designing and building homes. And in so doing, he built a great company, great reputation. But he knew then that when he took the company public, that he'd said that when he took the company public, I knew I had to hire people who knew what I didn't, could do what I couldn't, and not feel threatened by them. And he did exactly that. I mean, he lived his word, which was to hire people that are smarter than him. And the translation is, be willing to hire people that are smarter and more talented than you. If you're by that, then you're in the wrong position as a leader, because your ego is going to hold you back, hold the company back. You're going to hold everybody back. So the metaphor I use a lot of time is that like aviation skills, getting the plane off the ground. If you can get the plane off the ground, that's great. But if you can't clear the trees at the end of the runway, that's worse than never even leaving the blocks in the first place. So make sure you can get the plane off the ground, make sure you clear the trees, but be willing to hire people smarter than you and more talented. So audience participation. This is the United States, and I actually put Houston here. Gallup did a poll of what percentage of the work population are fully engaged. When they wake up in the morning, they can't wait to go do what it is they get to do. They love what they do, can't wait to go do it. And so only 29% of the population fall into that category. They wake up, they're just hungry to go do it, work with great people. So you see them every day, whether it's service, retail, service industry, manufacturing, or whatever. People that look like they're not having a good time, they are hating life, whatever. You see it, you recognize it, and it's really kind of it's discouraging to you when you see somebody that just hates what they do. Like they'd rather be somewhere else. But 29% actually are engaged, and so another 18% are the ones that are more likely to sabotage, more likely to create problems, and they're not happy unless they're trying to make you as unhappy as they are. And so that's contamination and sabotage and all that. And then the other 54% are kind of in the middle. They're a swing vote. They could go either way, but it's a matter of their engagement that really a company depends on in order to make it from one day to the next. So I have this very strong feeling, and it goes to my recruiting efforts as well, and that is that leadership is a great talent. You want people with charisma that they can influence, they can lead, but we can't motivate anybody. You hire self-motivated people that want to get up in the morning, want to do a good job. So if you concentrate on hiring people that fit that category and create a great work environment, that's where the culture comes in. So that's the United States. As far as the global stats, they're worse. So we're kind of like the best horse in the glue factory, globally. That we've got better statistics. And this is like only 13% of the global work population are really truly engaged with what they do. They can't wait to get up and go do it. and then the 24% are disengaged, and then 63% are the swing vote in the middle. So I'm going to have to kind of put this down because this is part of this participation. Wade, there should be a spool of twine back there by you. Okay. I need 10 people. I need 10 people like right up here. So can I have 5 from this table, 5 from this table? Okay, so grab that. All right, so one more. Grab this. Just grab the string.
Who knows how to do the cat's cradle?
String. 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 All right, we got everybody? Alex.
Do you need still another person? If you don't.
All right, so how many we got in here? Back to our math majors. We got 10 people here?
Yes.
All right, so everybody hold on to it really tight. Okay, so this is what team commitment looks like. Somehow I have gotten off my screen here, but you know how to do that. Find it. Okay, so commitment to each other. What does a team look like? You come together as a team. You're pulling in the same directions. Everybody, oars pulling the same direction. So if you're good with 90%, just one person kind of slacks off and lets the rest of the team down. So how about you dropping your in?
Slack, right?
You just drop it. Hold on to it. Okay. All right. So if because of that, Eric decides he's not going to pull his weight, and so he drops. That's what 80% looks like. So it starts to look really sloppy in a hurry. So commitment, of the team members are the one. That's what keeps you going. That's what your momentum. That's what your excellence should look like. But not something that we start to drop. So. I want to bring some attention to a group in the back that was part of my team here in Houston. So I would like for Shelly and Denise and Bob to stand up. So this was part of my team when I was here in Houston years and years ago. And this team was part of kind of this illustration right here. This team pulled together. We went from worst to first in terms of the results within the company. And the culture that we built within that organization, we hated fail. We weren't going to let each other fail. We backed each other up, just like on the sports field. But the illustration of what happens when somebody drops, somebody calls in sick, somebody says, "I'm not going to care." That's what this starts to look like. And for us at FedEx, percentages, because of our volume, percentages was no longer a good way to measure. We had to measure in absolutes. So, I just wanted to kind of create this illustration. But this team in the back is what culture, really good, solid culture looks like, because we went from worst to first in terms of the company results. So let's go ahead and gather this in. I'll finish up the presentation. Thank you so much for your participation. So I wanted to also illustrate that the percentages for a moment. So when I left here, I went to the Western region to run Western region hubs and ramps. And I had great visuals because one of my large facilities was the Oakland hub. When we replicated what we did in Memphis years before, and with that, we had about 25% of the entire company's volume flowing through our hub. So when I had town hall meetings, like in the break room, we had a line of sight to the Oakland Coliseum where the Raiders had played. They were down in LA at that time. But the Golden State Warriors played in the arena next door. So to do a math exercise there again, to say if we're comfortable with 90%, if we're comfortable with 99%, only failing 1% of the entire population the day before, then just imagine that you're the customer service director and you now have to give tickets to everybody that you failed yesterday, and to take the microphone at halftime and look up and see what 30,000 people, at 3 million packages coming through the facility, 1% of that is 30,000 packages. That's 30,000 customers that you failed the day before. So to say, it's a great visual to be able to say, to take that microphone and say, thank you for attending. Sorry we screwed up your package yesterday, but enjoy the rest of the concert, game, or whatever it was that was going on. But a great visual prop to be able to get that point home about why it's important to focus on absolutes, why it's important to not let you get comfortable with like a 99% service level. So that's kind of the illustration that we did there. And as far as commitment to each other, because as these guys know, in terms of balancing the workload, had to be able to help each other out. Somebody's load was too heavy one particular day. Denise ran dispatch for a while, so she knows that she had to be able to balance, because sometimes volume can overflow one particular route, and you had to back somebody up in order to get it, because you got to get to the airplane on time, you got to get to Memphis on time. So all those things in terms of exercising your commitment, exercising your culture are very important. So as companies grow, there are different plateaus you reach. So at the introduction phase, and then you have the growth phase, then you get to maturity, and then once you get a little bit further the road, you're recognized for your excellence. So at each step along the way, your talent needs are going to change. So does your culture change. It's a very comfortable, familial family atmosphere early on when a company is founded. But then years later, you might hear people say, well, it's not like it was in the old days. It's not like a family. And it's just becoming more impersonal, whatever. So culture is incredibly important to be able to continue to focus on as you grow, as you mature, as you gain volume. So the challenge curve and not fall off of it. And that's where the talent part comes in. So they flatline due to the inability to find exceptional leadership talent. So in hiring, which is what we do, help companies find next level talent, impact leaders, to take it to the next level, is to be able to identify that companies typically have difficulty doing this well because it's not the way it's typically been done. They don't have the time. They get some level of tunnel vision. You need to be able to define exactly what it is you're looking for, and to define the real need for an impact leader. And where do the skills really fit in? And where does the culture and chemistry really fit in? And are you really maximizing the return on human capital? So there's some good books out here. I mean, especially the influence that we have now on 1099 employees, individual contractors, and so forth. The Free Agent Nation book, Daniel Pink in the lower right, has changed the way the workplace works. So having a good culture now is even more challenging because you're working through different intermediaries. CEO Tightrope is another one. Like, Everybody Wants to Love Their Job is a new book out, and it's a good illustration of, do people really wake up in the morning wanting to go to work and do a great job? So there's some good materials out there, but do you know what you want when it comes time to add to staff? Are you filling a need, or are you trying to make it comfortable for people? Are you doing things to really connect? And is the culture and chemistry, is it attractive? Do you have a reputation? Do you have a brand that people are going to want to be attracted to? They want to come to work for you. If not, then it's going to be much more difficult to be able to hire somebody away from another company. Nobody wants to go to a toxic work environment. And unless it's an environment that knows they need to change, they need to hire a change agent, in which case you'd be looking for a change agent. If you don't want to hire a custodian that's just going to take the keys and not wreck the car. You've got to have somebody that is going to be willing to break glass and disrupt things, be disruptive. But it has to come from the top. If the CEO doesn't set the tone, the mindset, and the vision for where you're going, then you're just going to continue to sputter. So the framework is the more skills that you want to fit onto an org chart, not an org chart, but a job description to fill, the more it's going to cost, because those skills have value and those skills have cost. So there's also a matrix where start thinking about now putting the culture and chemistry and now fitting to that checklist. But these quadrants here, if you're only going for the fit the culture but you're limiting your cost, you're going to have a limited and detrimental segment of your employee population. If it's just low skill, it's going to be pretty tedious, menial, and it's going to be just a commodity hire. It's going to be frustrating. People don't want to do work that's not meaningful. But what you want is, and limited and illusionary, that's more of a, like, you've heard people talk about the unicorn. So every job description, I mean, everything that you can throw on a job description, and nobody can meet that description. So that's kind of the unicorn, and it's an illusion, it's very limited. What you want is to operate in this exceptional and extraordinary category. So the intersection of the return on human capital comes somewhere, this cutover point where culture and chemistry begins to create more return on human capital than just skills. You know, somebody can do the job, but if they don't fit the culture and chemistry of the organization and the conscience of an organization, then you're going to have the current flowing in a different direction than you want. So that's where your return on human capital really comes into play. So what does culture cost? Is it a Silicon Valley type campus like Google where they've got, you know, slides and all kind of fun things like, you know, ball pits and all this and little whirly birds and stuff just to play, and it's like ping pong tables all over the place? Is that what culture looks like? Is that what it costs? I want to tell you a little West Coast story that wasn't, well, actually it was in Silicon Valley, and it was at FedEx, and it was after I left here going to the Western region where I had the Western region hubs and ramps. So I had, one of my senior managers was a lot like Bob in terms of kind of a big personality, an occasional big mouth. I mean, he could do big talk, but anyway, at a post-work meeting one night, he was challenging his work group with something as ridiculous as sports trivia. And we're going into winning streak in NBA history. Well, somebody in the group actually knew that. It was 33 in a row by the 1970 Lakers. And so Mark ended up going, all right, so if you guys beat 33 in a row, you have 34 on-time departures of our DC-10 out here, the management team here will get Marine-style haircuts. And so he called me, and he said that night, and he goes, JB, made a bet. And I said, are you crazy? Are you crazy? And then he said, but JB, you're part of this bet too. I said, you don't. This is good PR, good bet, because they'll never do it. Because going into peak season, all the things work against you: traffic, weather, volume, because volume does grow considerably. So, and they had to depart on time for any reason. It couldn't be traffic delay. It couldn't be a mechanical delay. That airplane had to be punched back on time. So, long story short, we go all the way through peak season and land on January 4th. And so that was the 34th on-time departure. And my secretary all day long had been videotaping everything. So she had 5 of the biggest guys she could find standing behind my desk up in Oakland, acting like it was like a wrestling grudge match and videotaping. So I was like the promoter saying, tonight, San Jose International Airport. Anyway, just kind of throwing this whole gauntlet down, and everybody ran. Nobody was walking. Everybody was running to make sure. Everybody wanted this. So that's what culture looks like. So 7:10 p.m. plane was pushing back on time. The video captured that, and the next take is us sitting in the barber chair in downtown San Jose with a very serious barber. And what I was told was that we were going to have Marine-style haircuts. I left the chair with less hair that night than I came into the world with, and I was a bald-headed baby. I shaved my mustache earlier in the day because I didn't want to look like G. Gordon Liddy with just a mustache and no hair. My 18-month-old son didn't recognize me. I sounded like Daddy, but I didn't look like Daddy. And so my wife had actually threatened me that if I ever did that again, make sure that I have some divorce money ready. But that's what culture looked like. And so this videotape was sent to Memphis. We had what was called FX TV. So it was like a Good Morning America news program every day. It was talking about our package volume, service level, stock price, safety tips, all these things. And then comes a special interest story about us getting our head shaved out there. So one of the other great things about our culture at FedEx was the senior executive management. Fred Smith, founder, was very involved on a daily basis, as was Jim Barksdale, who went on to fame and fortune as one of the co-founders of Netscape after he left FedEx. But every once in a while, when there were exceptions, they would call, and I'd get that one that you want. It was one like, what are you doing taking 38-minute delays on your sort last night? Well, there was a legitimate reason, and I was trying to give him that. And so Fred Smith was saying, can you promise me it'll never happen again? And I said, I can't do that. I mean, I can tell you what we learned, what we did, what we did to minimize it, but I can't promise you that'll never happen again. So they always balanced kind of good news with bad news, and Smith went, well, we still consider you to be one of the good guys. And I said, does that mean I get a white hat? And Barksdale goes, Bledsoe, you need it. And I go, you've seen the video? He goes, yep. Bledsoe, you are ugly. So kind of just a needling with that, but in so doing, it was, it was something that didn't cost the company a thing. The employees paid for it, and so getting our haircut and getting it videotaped, getting it shown, became a bit of a challenge through a number of organizations throughout the country. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a culture story that you can have fun at work, and it doesn't have to cost the company an arm and a leg putting in a lot of fun stuff like ping pong tables or whatever. So just some leadership quotes along the way. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality, Warren Bennis. You don't need a title to be a leader. It's been, multiple people said that. Brian Tracy said, become the kind of leader that people would follow voluntarily, even if you had no title or position. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. That's Kenneth Blanchard. And then John Quincy Adams, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. I like Senator Bradley's comment about leadership is unlocking people's potential to become better. The growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership. Management is about arranging and telling. Leadership is about nurturing and enhancing. It's absurd that a man should rule others who cannot rule himself. And how many times have we seen somebody that's run afoul of ethics or behavioral problems? The leader gets thrown in jail. I mean, what kind of example is that set for the rest of the Bill Gates' success is a lousy teacher. It seduces into thinking we can't lose. And people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I love Lou Gerstner's, and this is something that I still live by, even have it as a screensaver, because it reminds me if I'm in the office too long and I've been on the computer longer than I need to be, the screensaver will pop up. It means get out in your operation. Go see a customer. But he said a desk is a dangerous place from which to view the world. So back to having a little bit of fun, whether it's a haircut chat, because work can be tedious. It can be drudgery. Don't let it be. Have fun. Treat it like a game. Playing game requires three things. You got to know the rules, you got to keep score, and have a stake in the outcome. And having a stake in the outcome I am that they are a part of more than just being paid. Because getting paid is the price of admission. You got to do that. That's a legal requirement. That's statutory law. But to feel like you belong, feel like you're a part of something, and that's what we felt like at FedEx over the years. And it was just a great place to be. We did not want to see anybody fail. And that was a rare thing, because sometimes within corporations, people kind of climbing the political ladder don't mind seeing somebody else fail, because that means that spotlighting somebody stumble, that means further ahead in line, further up the ladder than they are. But that's not the environment. And when I was talking to Bob last week, I guess, it really felt good. We were talking about that the atmosphere and the trust that we put in place, it wasn't just a temporary thing. It lasted because it went on for years. So for a healthy culture org chart, I got more of the attributes of what an organization should look like. You know what an org chart looks like. You got CEO, you got COO, you got president, you got CMO, all that stuff. But I'd rather have an organization chart filled with the values that keep that culture alive, that is healthy, that you are moving in a positive direction. You're not backing up. You're not apologizing for your failures. So I love this org chart right here. At the very top is trust. And you got to have character, and you got to have competence. And I like the fact that you got sort of, in terms of capability, that's where your skills, knowledge, and experience comes in. But in terms of other attributes, integrity, how do you measure that? I mean, it's with honesty, it's with fairness, it's with authenticity. You're not being fake about it. You're being very authentic. To being transparent, to be open about why you do what you do. And it all has meaning. If you're just faking it, people are going to know. I mean, they're going to know that very quickly, and they don't want to be a part of that. So I love this, just sort of so that's kind of what my story is tonight. TLC, Talent, Leadership, and Culture. And it's a three-legged stool. We had one we called people, service, profit. That's what we call our three-legged stool. And the TLC, for anybody in this room right now that has an organization, you got to have the talent, you got to have the leadership, and you got to have the culture. Without any one of those things, you're going to wobble, and you're not going to be at your organizational best. So I thank you tonight for your attention. Be happy to ask them. We do blogs, and it's on this. We've got a kind of a running theme on this right now on TLC. So I know Tracy has already seen most of them. Maybe some of those can be pushed out or whatever. If you want, I've got my card here. If you want some of the blogs sent to you just as a PDF, be more than happy to provide that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I'm just curious, how many people are in a corporate or company environment right now? Okay, and then entrepreneurs. Okay. All right. So I've been on both sides, and I find that when you get into a corporate or company environment that really embraces entrepreneurship and risk-taking, you've got the best of both worlds, and I find that's a really interesting culture. So thank you, Jen. That was really great. So quick question. Do you guys want to take like a 2-minute break, or you guys want to keep going? 2-minute break before we bring Matt Gagnon up. And so that's a yes. You guys grab a drink, grab some food. If you 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes,
Let's
whatever.
Five, yeah.
Give them 5. Okay, 5 minutes. We'll be back. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Sorry about the live stream. What can I get you? It's your birthday.
It's picking up our audio right now. Crazy. Phil retired. Yeah. And Don, one of our other coworkers, retired. So where we were once 5, we're now 3. Thank you. And one of us is on a cruise this week, so we're doing the 2. I mean, you're just proving they don't need anybody except we have graduation next week, so I'm doing all the coordination. And next Saturday, 14th. I told Grace I can't make it, but if they're in contact with a couple of my friends that are really good looking for work.
Yeah, he called himself PB. Maybe he's just saying. And later on he'll go postdoc.
What if they're allowed to?
He's clever. You can't apply for an internship unless you're a current student. So you want any vapor? I think there's one more lump of cheese.
Okay, I'll leave the cheese.
I'm very happy.
Two empty bottles.
do two events like back to back, there's not a huge amount of extra. The rest might be completely diluted.
The same presentations.
How many fathers do you have?
That's the, you know, so we'll basically be working at the same time, picking the so we'll pick 8. The only thing, the Houston event's going to be cyber security. It's not like we can move them between the events. I don't think we're going to have.
Is that affiliated with Cyber Houston? Yeah. Is it their conference? Okay. I'm waiting to hear back from Umesh. When he's able to afford it. He wants to live stream 8 rooms, and I don't know how long the conference is. Is he talking to you? Yeah. I don't know if he's talking directly to me or if he's going to the lobby, but somehow I'm in that mix.
Yeah, I'm actually going through some guys because I told him, you know, I don't know if I mentioned that you've done all our streaming the whole time, and he said, yeah, but he's got these guys that are approved or whatever that are credentialed at the George R. Brown because you have to actually be, you know, when we did the first hatch pitch for the 2013 one, you could only use streaming. You can bring any other heavy now you have to be credentialed. Maybe they're gonna. Yeah, it'd be cool if we can get involved in that. I specifically initially did not. I think I didn't tell him who. Maybe because I was connecting with people that are going to want to
He's pretty good about paying. He's paying me for tonight.
Who is?
Who's paying for this? I think so. He's the one that contacted me last night. I knew about it, and I think Tracy tried to call me yesterday, but I had a backlog in this phone calls.
Yeah, because I'm damn sure that I knew that they were today. That's what I always, always say. We could almost never afford to pay you. Make damn sure that anybody I recommend you to is going to. Okay, oh man.
I've been doing the Cyber Houston monthly things. Although the last one they canceled, so it's going to happen on the 12th, but that's also sort of demo day at Station, and in the midst of graduations for UH. So the last couple Cyber Houston I haven't been big. I've got a team that's able to go there and they do that.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, he pays me. They're kids that are like, we'll do it for the experience.
Tracy said she might get us one.
You might. Oh, okay.
Wait for her to do that. How you been?
Thanksgiving we drove to San Antonio and then Austin and Dallas.
We almost got to see most of my family, except at the last minute my mom went to Florida. My brother just moved there to the then we ended up working. I ended up working. I know we did it last time. I did not get double paid. Rebecca was giving presentations not unlike that guy.
He was with FedEx.
well. Pretty well. Hello, everyone. We're going to get started again. There's going to be lots of networking afterwards. Lots. I'm so glad everybody's connecting, though. Seriously, that really is half of the reason we're here. But you guys are going to be really excited, too, about the next speaker. So, again, came all the way in from Austin, Texas. Very, very active on LinkedIn. I came across Matt Gagnon. Was it a couple years ago? I don't know. And he has a couple of the same passions I do, music. And he was singing during a coaching session with a woman who has just lost her child. And if you haven't seen this video, it is worth it. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I know I've got some music lovers in the audience too, and it is very powerful. But he combines sort of this courageous spirit and conquering challenges, and he is a life coach, business coach, with life story, coaching and development. I'm going to bring up Matt Gagnon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Tracy. I gotta get a picture with you guys first. That works. Beautiful people. I gotta do a little social media stuff, so I have to have the picture.
That's right.
Awesome. So it was like, a couple months ago, Tracy reached out to me while I was chopping wood and cooking bacon about this event, and I was like, absolutely, I'm all in. And then she told me Jim Bledsoe was going to be here, and I was definitely all in. Jim is, big thanks to him in his talk today, but Jim's like family to me. He's one of my brothers. There aren't many perfect people in this world. Jim's as close as you get. And so he'll shake his head and say no, but he really is. He's one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met. So honored to share the stage with you today. So I was getting dressed up for you guys and look really pretty. But then if you've ever followed any of my content, most of my videos, this is what I look like. So why not be consistent? I believe in authenticity. I believe in consistent. So this is mostly my brand, except the beard. My wife likes the beard this time of year, so I grow the beard. So, but why I'm here is I want to talk about risk taking. And where I was 5 years ago was I was on disability. I'd been diagnosed with a handful of autoimmune disorders. Found out I had a traumatic brain injury from a high school football career that was decades ago. I was crippled by depression, mood swings. I even had narcolepsy. I was falling asleep all the time. Everything about me was changing. All the gifts that I thought I had were starting to change. Conflict management, being coached by my boss sometimes would throw me into an incredible anger or sobbing in depression. I didn't understand what was going on. And I was halfway through coaching school at the time. I went back to school for this, put myself into a year-long program that I couldn't really afford, but I found a way to do it anyways. And I was really set on this idea of starting my own coaching practice. But the limiting beliefs, these logical beliefs I had were, you don't have the money yet to make the leap. Once we save up enough money, once we pay off some debt, once I really know what my niche is, once I have the marketing tools, once I'm finished with certification, then maybe it'll be time to start this full time and I'll make the leap. Because my prior past had been 15 years in corporate retail. I'd worked for brands like Under Armour, Cole Haan, Carter's, Staples. I'd done some neat stuff. The thing was, I ran myself into the ground. Like I traveled 25 nights a month. I was always on the go. I was making great money, had a nice six-figure salary, but by 2015, it's all fallen apart. I've got an infant son. My wife has been out of work for a bit. Had a beautiful home built in Lakeway, Texas. Now I'm sick, and I have to leave this job. I was waiting for the perfect moment to start my coaching business. And then that moment was then made, that decision was then made for me because I got sick. That perfect moment wasn't going to happen. And so that's one of the things I'm going to share is like, if you're waiting for the perfect moment to take a risk or to pursue something that's important to you, a dream, a passion, something that you think about every single day, but every single day you do the exact opposite of that desire, for that perfect moment, you might as well get used to waiting. Because it's just not going to happen. It doesn't work out that way. Sometimes what I find out from clients of mine is when they have the most resources and the biggest opportunity to pursue their dreams, they won't do it. Still waiting for, once I know it's a guaranteed success, then I'm going to do it. And my feedback usually is, you won't, because maybe you're not desperate enough yet. And they look at me like they want to hit me. And I'm like, no, you're not. I was like, what's going to happen if you lose your health? You lose some loved ones, you lose your job, you lose that nest egg that you put away. What are you going to do, give up? You'll make dramatic changes in your life. So, here's what ended up happening. I'm on disability. I've been on medical leave. My doctor has said, he wrote this, he goes, you're unemployable because my mood swings are all over the place. And so, he was right. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Literally the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I have a negative bank account when I went on medical leave. I have less than $0. And I start falling behind on my mortgage by 6 months. And I have the energy and capacity to maybe work 20 hours a month with my new business, which I've been building slowly while I was working 70, 80 hours a week in my other job. Why do I say it's the best thing that ever happened? Is because you don't know how creative and resourceful you are until you're broke, until your back's against the wall, right? Some of you have probably been there. You just don't know what you're capable of until you're held in that space, until nobody is going to rescue you. And that was the other big thing. No one was going to rescue me. I wanted someone to. I wanted to be a victim for a bit there. That's the honest truth. I wanted to, please, I'm tired. Somebody just help me, rescue me. And I was mad at some people too. There were people in my life that had the resources that probably could have rescued me, but they didn't. And I'm grateful for them. Because if they had, I wouldn't have learned anything. So taking that risk was super cool. I remember telling my wife, I was like, I'm not going back to that job. And she looked at me and she said, it's about damn time. She's a pretty fierce woman. I like her. But she was very supportive. It was like, what the hell are we going to do? What was super cool about it was that there was no more barriers for me. There were no more things that I was wishing for to help me start my business. I just had to do it. If I didn't do it, we were just gonna drown as a family. It wasn't gonna, like, things were gonna fall apart. I started this company because of my infant son. Because when I met him, when he showed up in this world, I made a choice that I'm gonna show him what it takes to build something of your own. And that it's never too late to write your own comeback story in life. So, instead of grinding away at my business every day, my new business, because that's what I knew in my past, hustle, hustle, hustle. Drink more Red Bull. Take some Adderall.
How many were you drinking a day? Red Bull.
Vulnerability is not my thing. In my 20s, sugar-free Red Bull a day with 60 milligrams of Adderall. I was bulletproof.
Until you weren't.
Until I wasn't. Yeah. So, I did a lot of things based on praise, and that's another story. But now, high energy, what I was known for, was taken away. I couldn't out-hustle people anymore. And I had this story in my head that I'm not the smartest guy, I'm not the most natural athlete, I can outwork anybody. It's gone. Like, it was a victory to brush my teeth some days. As we're trying to figure out what's wrong with me, what's going on. So instead of the hustle, I decide, what would happen if I changed my life? What if I did it differently? What if I went back to honoring the things that I used to love in life? I forgot I used to love to play music. I like playing the guitar. I like singing. I like listening to music. I like listening to vinyl records. I love hiking, being outside. All things I forgot about. I love volunteering, serving other people. I'll tell you what, when you're in a desperate situation, there's nothing better than serving other people who are also in need. Gets you out of here. So I started dedicating whatever energy I had into doing other things in life besides just working all the time. And what I noticed was, I leaned into faith too. I'm not here to preach or anything, but that was an important value of mine, so I leaned into faith too. All of those things made the work, the limited hours I was putting into my work, so much more efficient. Like when I took action at my work, it was almost surgical. I I knew exactly what I was doing. The risk started panning out. We didn't lose the house. I don't know how that happened. We didn't lose it. Instead, I learned how to ask for what I need. I learned how to ask for help. And I learned how to be smarter, a lot smarter. And funny, as my business started growing, my health started improving. And I started building friendships. I also realized I didn't have any friends. Lived in Austin for like 12 years, with no friends, always traveling. I had a place there, I had some stuff. I didn't have any friends. Matter of fact, 5 years ago was the first time I started building friendships. Jim Bledsoe was one of my first friends. I showed up at a men's group. There's Jim in the back. That's where he was too. He was all the way in the back, pretty much at another event I went to with another friend of his, Wade. He was one of the first people I met. Taught me the value of connection, my inner circle. I wouldn't be here to people around me. So the business starts growing and growing and growing, and it was LinkedIn. LinkedIn was free. I needed free. Free was awesome. And what was so cool about this was my other peers in the coaching world were all investing all this money into these really cool tools, these great marketing tools. They were building websites, they had beautiful business cards. I had a LinkedIn page. What was great about that was not having access to those tools, I had to create my own. And I also understood this. I did one thing that drove me crazy. I put myself in as many situations as possible to be in a place where someone would ask me, "What do you do?" I hated that question. People's eyes would glaze over when I talk about it. I help people. What's a life coach? But I kept doing it over and over and over again till I could articulate it in a way that made you want to lean into it. What a great blessing that was. Because my philosophy became, if you don't know how to talk about what you do in a way that engages people to a stranger at Starbucks, you have no business investing in tools and fancy things that you don't know how to, there's no magic pill. There's no magic pill out there. You gotta learn the basics. And so I became taking more risks, because again, I couldn't work at a formal job again. So I'm just stuck with building this business. What I learned to do was get on LinkedIn and start sharing my story from a very honest, vulnerable perspective. In some ways, people were like, "You can't say that stuff. No one's ever going to work with you. How can you coach people to work through, adversity in life when you're a disaster?" Well, I can't pretend I'm perfect. No one wants to work with a perfect person. I don't trust people that come across as perfect, except for Jim Bledsoe. But I decided to get honest and real with people. Matter of fact, if you go to my LinkedIn summary, I made sure to put part of my story in there about some of the adversity that I went through, and that's why I do the work that I do. So many people in their summaries write, "Hey, this is the problem in the world I solve. This is who I work with. This is the call to action." The most powerful part, I believe in, is sharing when you are part of the problem that you want to solve in this world. If the problem in the world that I want to solve is, my belief is that I believe in living a life aligned with your values, but the problem is so many people live life aligned with values defined by others. I was living that life, and that's the life that got me sick. My job didn't make me sick, I made me sick. And so I stopped that trend and learned to take that risk and take that leap in that non-perfect moment, because the choice was made for me. I chose what to do with it. And that's when everything became a game changer. I started sharing more and more story online on LinkedIn, where it was still kind of a foreign concept to be vulnerable. That's Facebook stuff. A lot of people were grumpy on there. That's Facebook stuff. This is for professionals. I remember a guy said this to me. He goes, "Hey, get a therapist, not LinkedIn." Well played. But what's professional? That's a perception. My business is about vulnerability and authenticity and coaching. It's borderline therapy in some ways. This guy sells copiers. Our vision of professional is totally different. We ended up having a great conversation offline. I don't mind people poking at what I do, that's fine. But what I love, though, is how it connects with people. Because when I chose to share my story, it gave permission for others to do the same. So I broke a lot of unwritten rules. Again, I'm taking risks online because I could alienate my audience. And they'd be like, nah, I don't want to work with this guy. Took more risks. Shared more stuff. I even shared my values around faith on LinkedIn. People are like, you can't do that. You can't talk about that online. I was like, watch me. I did. I shared a cool story. Shared a thing about David and Goliath. That's it. I was like, hey, I don't care if you're of faith or not. This is a kick-ass story. And I just shared one scripture. Again, not preaching, but it was a 1 Samuel 17:48 scripture. And all it says is David ran towards Goliath. What a cool visual. I was like, who runs towards a giant? I do. Because it made me think, I was like, what giants are in my life that I should be running towards? And so that's what I've been doing this whole time. Anytime I see a giant out there that I've made up in my own head, there's this big giant, I'm running towards that thing every single time. So usually the post that I'm most intimidated about hitting the post, like hit that post button that I've just written, that's the one I gotta post. That's the one. Usually the ones where I feel like, man, no one's ever gonna work with me once I put this out there. That's the one where the phone starts ringing. They've got a story to tell. They're like, I feel like you just wrote that for me. I'm like, I did. I wanted to find you. I wanted to connect with you. It's about being a lighthouse. So again, more risks. What ended up happening was I built a following of about 37,000 people on LinkedIn. I'm maxed out. You can only direct connect with 30,000 people on LinkedIn. That's it. You can have as many followers as you want. There's a difference between the two. But I maxed out. I'm like, how did this happen? 70% of my business was coming from LinkedIn. My marketing budget was $0. Took me 2 years of building this business to replace the old corporate salary that I once had. Does that mean things are easy now? No. I still have stress. I've got a mountain of debt that I'm still climbing out of from when I was sick. But I love my new stress. I love it. Because it's not a hamster wheel anymore. The same stress every single day. Every day my new stress is taking me closer and closer to my purpose and where I want to be. I'm blessed now that my career is also my life purpose. And so the thing that I thought about doing every single day, now I'm doing it. Now that doesn't nag at me every day. I'm not ignoring it. I'll tell you one last example was a year and a half ago, my wife had this great idea that we should travel. I like taking risks. She likes taking bigger risks. They stress me out. But we thought about the day. And every single day we didn't. Instead, we just bought more stuff. We kept buying more things. We were held hostage to our stuff. We were held hostage to our mortgage. So one day I come home, and there are packers in my house. I'm like, who are these ladies? I hired them to pack stuff. I'm like, where are we going? I don't know. But they were packing things. And so I got on board too. We decided we'd sell most of the things that we own. We used a guest room in our house as a template for an off-site storage. It was about a 11 by 15 room. And we're like, if it fits in that room, we keep it. We'll put it in storage. If not, it's gone. Kept all the things that were important to us. Furniture, all gone. Those weren't going anywhere. But next thing I know, we still don't know where we're going. But we found an RV that we're going to borrow from a friend. We found that out. We're going to leave and go back to Maine, where we're originally from, for a while and explore. Take our son, show him his roots. We didn't have an RV secured until July 1st. We had to leave by July 5th. Our house was already leased. Someone else leased our house already. We don't know where we're going, but we're all in. If we had waited for that perfect moment again, till we found someone to buy, lease the house, till we found the RV, probably never would have happened. But we just leaned into it, said it's gonna happen. We went after it, and you make things happen. And so what ended up happening, we spent a year and a half just traveling. And it was still stressful, but it was amazing. And now we're gonna learn how to do it better the next time, because we just moved back to Austin in August. So again, sometimes the risks, the fears that you have about taking risks, you might think are based on logic. I will challenge you on that sometimes those logical are also fear-based. I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have the resources, I don't have the education. I will challenge you that some of those things are lies. That you can find ways around to work around those things. They're fear-based logic. And we have these limiting beliefs in our head based on experiences we've had or people we've surrounded ourselves in our past that tell us what we can and can't do in life. I challenge those things. So if you've got something in your life, if you have a goal, if you have something that's nagging at you every single day, but you keep telling yourself, it's not time, I can't do that, have a conversation with me. I'll help you figure it out. I might piss you off doing it, but we'll have a good time. So, but I really do challenge you. There's always a way if you want to do one of those things. So I call that living with a courageous heart. That's the whole thing around my practice and what I do. That's my life purpose. Living with a courageous heart means living a life aligned with your values. And sometimes when you live life aligned with your values, not everybody's going to be happy for you. Not everybody's going to be happy for you. I know when I discovered mine and I started living life with those, I took my mask off. I stopped living life aligned for everybody else. Not everybody was happy with me. That's all right. I can't fault them for it. They were attracted to the mask I was wearing. That's what I sold them on. When I took it off, I don't like you now. I'm like, that's okay. I was toxic to them. They were toxic to me now. We moved on. And then I found people that did align with my values. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. The ones that are going to love on you for the risks that you're going to take. The ones that will speak truth into you. So I challenge every single one of you that if you got something that's burning in your soul that you want to do, that you got something that's just eating at you every single day, you wake up every single morning and you're thinking about doing this one thing, just ask yourself, what would it be like if you did it? How would that change the way you live your life? And what's one thing that you could do to step closer to that? Just one thing. So I'll tell you what, researching and dreaming, totally free. Putting a date on the calendar, free. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but just putting a date on the calendar starts making it real. So get that stuff out of your head and start putting it on paper. Tell another human being about it, and I guarantee you things will start to happen. Because you just don't know until you start talking about it. Because once I talked about it, here's the thing I'll share and leave you with. When I went on disability, I couldn't afford to finish coaching school. I had an extra $5,000 to get certified. When I left my job, I decided to do something different. They don't really me that much, but I respected them. They had really cool backgrounds. Some of them were local, some of them were on the, in other parts of the country. And I reached out to them and said, hey, you want to have coffee? You want to have a phone call? All I want to do is hear your story. That's it. I want to hear the journey you've been on. It's amazing. I didn't want anything from them. Usually every single one of them were like, what do you want? I'm like, just want to hear your story. Oh, okay. They let their guard down. One of those people was a program advisor for the coaching school I went to, the coaches training. My friend over here went to also. Her name is Tammy Hebler, and Tammy found out about my LinkedIn experience, and that I had a passion for connecting and building relationships online. And she said, I tell you what, we need, if we hire you to be a consultant for us and help recruit people for our entry-level course, we'll pay for your certification. I was like, no shit. Can we curse here? I just did. And it blew my mind. I had no expectations for that, but it changed the game for me. Because I was recruiting people for something I already loved. It was awesome. So yeah, again, by taking that risk and talking to people and sharing your dream with other people, sharing the risks that you want to take with other people, created so many opportunities. Things I never even dreamed of doing, because if you don't tell anyone, you just end up doing the whole thing in your own strength. And you just go on it alone. And you'll only know what you know. Your vision is just whatever's in front of you. You start reaching out and asking for what you need with other people and start dreaming with other folks. All of a sudden you see all these possibilities you never thought existed. So figure out what that risk is and go for it. And don't be afraid to share it. Don't be afraid to be a little vulnerable out there. Days off. I know it's risky. I know it's scary being vulnerable. Because if you put those walls up and choose not to, because you don't want to get hurt, you don't want to get burned, you don't want to fail, it's great. You might minimize that, but you're also going to minimize your joy and your opportunities to succeed in life. So if you choose to be vulnerable, you're making a choice to really see what opportunities are possible, and you're giving yourself an opportunity to experience maximum joy. That's all I got for you guys today. I love you all. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jim. amazing. So who knows that just that growth happens when you're most uncomfortable, right? And so you got to get uncomfortable to experience that growth. So I just kind of want to throw it out there. We usually do a pass the mic where we give you maybe, I don't know, how much time do we have? Maybe 5 people. An opportunity, who you are, what you do, why you came. But since he kind of queued that up, I was kind of curious. Does anybody have a goal that they set that they're going for? It's on the calendar, they're nervous about it, and they'd be willing to share. Anybody have one of those? You want to share it? You want to come up and grab the mic? Rebecca. All right, thanks for kicking us off. All right.
Time to do my, I started a blog. It's not my full-time job, but I started a blog in June focusing on animals, dogs, dog rescue, anything to do with dogs. And I just kind of went all in and signed up to work with a professional coach on online marketing and monetizing my blog. So my goal by the end of next year is to be making $15,000 to $20,000 a year on the blog. My coach says it'll be easy.
What's the name of the blog?
Oh, it's Houston Dog Mom.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
I love knowing people when they get that spark of an idea and all of a sudden it starts happening. Rebecca mentioned she might do it, and then all of a sudden I see her online promoting it, and then she 1,000 followers, and you've just been on fire. So anybody else want to share? This is a great way to tell people who you are, and it helps with networking. So if anybody grab the mic and share your story. Anybody, somebody be brave. Isn't that Brandon?
Yes.
What you are.
Hello, my name is Brandon Smith, and I like what you said about the whole discomfort and growth thing, because I'm working full-time oil and gas right now, but on the side, I work for a company called RI Studios, and we develop apps and games and whatnot. So I'm the business developer, and that's a totally new thing for me. Like, I was a project manager and an IT guy, and now I'm having to go do a lot of networking, do social media, and it's not my thing at all. I've been doing it for the past year, and seeing a little growth, seeing a little progression. So hopefully next year get even more traction, help grow that business and migrate into that full time. So.
All right, that's awesome. Brandon, there might be a few people in the room that can help you with that too. I think we've got some. Just a quick plug. I'm building a digital marketing track for the end of February to add to Cyber Summit. So if anybody wants to join in with me to be on panels and stuff, so quick plug on that. And I'm working with Umesh at Blue Lance on that. So we really want to put Houston on the map for that. So Brandon, maybe we'll talk to you. Yeah.
Where is this thing you just mentioned?
It's going to be the end of February. We haven't put out the notice yet. It's called Cyber Summit. Date is going to be thank you. That's right. Greg is on the board. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, so February 27th, right? And so we'll be announcing more on that. But if you want to be on the panel, come find me. Or if you want to get involved. Anybody else? And we'll take one more person. All right, come on up.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Thank you for involving yourself. I teach at University of Houston, Kara Snyder. I'm a digital media producer, and I am out to see that we break the curse of students, especially in media and technology, not having jobs and leaving this region. And to do that, our showdown with ExxonMobil to create so students can create VR, AR, and MR for serious use. And again, we are having it so that they can have the paid internship, and in addition, it'll be up on Amazon Prime and live stream. So my goal is that in the next year, many more of you might be involved in working with students, and they can help problem solve with you and our community, as well as see our community be amplified through media so that a lot of the institutions, companies, and organizations doing amazing things, people can hear about it. Because right now, there's so many cool stories that are in this room that I've been hearing about. No one knows you exist. And to me, that's wrong, because you could be out there in a much broader capacity and see our community lifted up. So that's cool, by the way, regarding your media.
All right, at the mic, I'm going to tell my quick story. So my biggest fear is singing. But it's also my biggest passion. So how does that work out? So Monday, I put a date on the calendar. I produce a music series called Houston Live. We're actually streaming on our Houston Live. I think we're actually streaming through Houston Live, right? Okay. All right, very good. So we have a live streaming for that. But it's a music series. We're hosting a free open mic night. We're taking over the open mic at Mucky Duck on Monday. I will be on stage. It's free. So if you guys want to come out, and before I go on, we're going to have some real professionals come out and sing. So I hope you'll come and join us. It's a great cause, too. So a couple quick things. We're going to keep networking. Is everybody ready to do some more networking? Downstairs, we're going to take over the downstairs tap room. There's actually a back area behind the bar if you want a quieter area to continue your conversation. And then Amelia Earhart, who's one of our performers. They've been with us at Houston Live. They performed some of our events. They're performing live downstairs. And so I hope you'll join us down there, and we'll bring the food with us. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, one more thing. If you want more information, can you do a little plug on connecting on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
All right, so this is a great shortcut on connecting with one another. And then also sign up for more information and our little flyer in the front if you want to stay connected with us.
Easier for us to connect with each other. So if you have the mobile app, take your phone out for a moment. Give you a second to do that. And when you take it out, make sure your Bluetooth is turned on also. All right. So if you have the LinkedIn app pulled up, you're going to look at the very bottom line of the app, and you're going to see the little home button, and next to that you're going to see My Network. Push the My Network button. So you're on here, we're connection. Plus sign on it. Push that button, and then there's a thing there that says Find Nearby. And if you push that, you're going to get this screen, and everybody's going to start populating on there that's in this room. So you're going to go to the My Network button down on the bottom of the screen. It's right next to the home button. And then you're going to see that little blue circle in the bottom right with a plus sign on it. Then hit the Find Nearby option once that drop-down menu shows up. You will only see people if they're on this screen too.
Is everybody on it? Wow. I've added a few.
Fancy. Now, if you see me on there might be a follow button only, because that means I'm maxed out. But if you send me a message and just let me know that you were at this event, I'll create room to connect with you. Each other, but don't hit that button.
Right, so make sure you go and talk to one another, and we'll see you guys downstairs. Thank you.
out of the town.